The next questions are related to the West Coast as well, a bit of historic tsunami and preparation. So Kevin asked, he'd like to know more about the tsunami risk and tsunami history of Westport and the Buller region. So he says he's reviewed the past history himself after hearing a lot of mixed messages, and the only mention of recent tsunami he could find were in 1868 and 1877, both caused from earthquakes in Chile. And then Catherine's question relates to preparedness for the West Coast in general, particularly following the recent flood and storm events which have impacted the Buller district. So she asks, how well prepared do you really believe we are on the coast? It's predicted we will lose all comms and be geographically isolated. The impact of an alpine rupture is said to have the whole South Island disruption, also lower North Island. So Kate, what do we know about past tsunami events on the west coast of the South Island? Have there been any more recent events than 1877, and where might a future tsunami come from?
Yeah, I had to look this up myself. I didn't know a lot about the history of tsunamis in Westport. GNS holds a historic tsunami database, which has a sort of a collection of observations of tsunamis from newspapers and instrumental records and so on. So in that database, there's definitely mention of the 1868 and 1877 tsunamis. They were both from really large earthquakes in northern Chile and Peru. They impacted a lot of the New Zealand coastline. The only additional entry that I could see was there was some hints. It wasn't high certainty, but something happened in 1913, I think it was. Yeah, 1913. Might have been a nearby earthquake that looks like it probably caused a disturbance around the river mouth. There's a record there that some boats were knocked around a lot, some campgrounds were flooded near the sea. But yeah, it sounds like that was that followed shortly after a sharp earthquake. So that was probably a small local earthquake generated a small tsunami. There's no records that it caused any damage further away from the shoreline. And the only other records are from sometimes in the 1930s, I think, 1931 and 1939. There were some earthquakes on a subduction zone right up near the Solomon Islands, which produced small tsunamis that impacted Westport. So yeah, it does have a history of tsunamis and nothing significant in historic times. And I'm also not aware of anything from Maori oral histories or anything from geological records that indicate it's been inundated by really large tsunamis. But even, you know, with the amount of infrastructure and people we now have on the coastline, even small tsunamis can be quite damaging.